Wealth Nexus Media. Most people ask the investing question too early. They ask, what should I invest in? Should I buy index funds? Should I buy individual stocks? Should I invest in real estate? Should I use a brokerage account, a Roth IRA, a 401k, crypto, dividend stocks, or something else? And those are fair questions, but they are not the first question. The first question is simpler. Are you actually ready to invest? Because investing is powerful, but investing before your foundation is stable can create a different kind of financial stress. You can own investments and still be broke. You can have a brokerage account and still be one emergency away from swiping a credit card. You can buy stocks every month and still be financially fragile because your cash flow, debt, and emergency fund are not ready yet. That is the part a lot of beginners miss. Investing is not just about choosing assets. It is about having the financial structure to hold those assets through real life. Because life does not wait for your portfolio to be up. Cars break, medical bills happen, jobs change, rent goes up, family emergencies happen. And if you have no cash buffer, then your investments become your emergency fund. That is a problem. Because when your investments become your emergency fund, you may be forced to sell at the worst possible time. The stock market does not care that your transmission went out. It does not care that you lost your job. It does not care that you need the money next week. That is why the first sign you are ready to invest is not that you found the perfect ETF. It is that you have enough cash to avoid panic. According to the Federal Reserve's household well-being data, 63% of adults said they could cover a $400 emergency expense using cash or its equivalent, meaning a large share of adults still could not handle even a modest emergency without borrowing, selling something, or using another workaround. That statistic matters because it shows how easy it is to look financially normal while still being financially exposed. You might have a decent job, you might make decent money, you might even be investing. But if a $400 expense forces you into debt, the investment plan is sitting on a weak foundation. That does not mean you need to wait until every part of your life is perfect before investing. Perfect is not the standard. Ready is the standard. And ready means you can invest without putting your basic stability at risk. The first checkpoint is your emergency fund. For most people, a starter emergency fund should come before aggressive investing. That might be $1,000 if you are just getting started. It might be 1 month of expenses if your income is steady. And eventually, for most working adults, a stronger target is usually 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Not 3 to 6 months of your dream lifestyle. Essential expenses. Housing, utilities, food, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, the bills that keep your life functioning. If your job is stable, your expenses are predictable, and you have support at home, maybe 3 months is enough. If your income is variable, your job is less secure, you have dependents, or you are the main provider, 6 months may be more appropriate. This is not because cash has amazing returns. It usually does not. Cash is not there to make you rich. Cash is there to keep you from becoming desperate. And that matters because desperation is expensive. Desperation creates credit card debt. Desperation forces bad sales. Desperation makes people take loans they would never take under normal circumstances. So before you worry about maximizing every dollar, make sure you have enough cash to protect the plan. The second checkpoint is high-interest debt. This is where people need to be honest. If you are carrying credit card debt at a high interest rate, investing aggressively while making minimum payments can be mathematically backwards. The reason is simple. If your credit card is charging you 20% interest, paying that debt down is like avoiding a guaranteed 20% drag. Meanwhile, the stock market does not guarantee you anything next month, next year, or even over a short time period. The Federal Reserve's G.19 consumer credit data shows that revolving credit, which includes credit cards, continued rising in early 2026, and credit card rates remain a major cost for households that carry balances. That is why high-interest debt is not just a debt problem. It is an investment problem, because every dollar going toward interest is a dollar that cannot become an asset. Now, this does not mean you should never invest while you have any debt. A mortgage is different from a credit card. A low-interest student loan is different from a payday loan. A car loan at a reasonable rate is different from a credit card balance compounding at over 20%. Debt needs context, but the general rule is this. If the interest rate is high enough that it is actively fighting your wealth-building progress, you probably need to attack that debt before trying to build a serious investment portfolio. The third checkpoint is cash flow. This is the one people skip. They want to know what to invest in, but they do not know how much margin they actually have every month. And if you do not know your margin, you do not have an investment plan. You have a guess. Cash flow is the difference between what comes in and what must go out. Not what you hope goes out, not what you think goes out, what actually goes out. That includes housing, food, transportation, insurance, debt, subscriptions, kids, pets, gas, random expenses, and all the little things that somehow become real money by the end of the month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that average annual consumer expenditures were $78,535 in 2024, with housing and transportation together accounting for about 50% of household spending. That tells you something important. For most people, the biggest obstacle to investing is not whether they bought coffee. It is whether their major expenses leave enough room to invest consistently. If your rent, vehicle, insurance, and debt payments eat up most of your paycheck, investing will always feel hard. Not because you are lazy, because your financial structure is too tight. So before you pick investments, you need to know your monthly surplus. If your surplus is $50, start with $50. If your surplus is $300, build around $300. If your surplus is $1,000, great, but give that money a job before it gets absorbed into lifestyle. The point is not to start huge. The point is to start with an amount you can sustain. Because investing is not about one heroic deposit, it is about repeated behavior over long periods of time. The fourth checkpoint is your time horizon. This is critical. Money you need soon should not usually be invested aggressively. If you need the money in 6 months for a car repair, keep it in cash. If you need it in 1 year for a house down payment, be very careful with market risk. If you need it in 3 years for a specific purchase, you probably should not treat it the same way as retirement money. The stock market is better suited for long-term goals because short-term returns are unpredictable. Over decades, broad market investing has historically rewarded patience. Over months, anything can happen. So the question is not just, can this investment make money? The question is, can I afford the timing risk? Because if you invest money you need soon, you are not just investing. You are betting that the market will cooperate with your schedule. And that is not a plan. That is luck. A good framework is this. Short-term money needs stability. Long-term money can take more risk. Emergency fund? Cash. Near-term purchase? Cash or very conservative savings vehicles. Retirement or long-term wealth building? That is where diversified investing starts to make more sense. The fifth checkpoint is emotional readiness. This one sounds soft, but it is not. If you panic every time your account drops, you may not be ready for the risk level you chose. Investing involves volatility. Your account will go down sometimes. Not maybe. It will. There will be bad weeks, bad months, bad years. There will be headlines telling you the economy is broken, the market is overvalued, and everything is about to collapse. Some of those headlines will sound convincing, and if you do not understand why you own what you own, you will be tempted to sell at the wrong time. That is why beginners should avoid building portfolios they do not understand. You do not need to become a professional investor, but you should understand the basics. What account are you using? What fund or asset are you buying? What is the risk? What is the time horizon? What would make you sell? What would make you stay invested? If you cannot answer those questions, slow down. Not because investing is bad, because confusion and volatility are a dangerous combination. The sixth checkpoint is whether you are already getting the easy wins. For many people, the first investing decision is not a taxable brokerage account. It is their employer retirement plan. If your employer offers a 401k match, that match is usually one of the strongest starting points available. Not because a 401k is perfect, not because everyone's plan has amazing funds, but because a match is additional compensation. If your employer is willing to contribute money when you contribute money, ignoring that benefit can mean leaving part of your pay package unused. After that, the order depends on your situation. Some people should prioritize a Roth IRA. Some should use a traditional 401k. Some should use an HSA if they are eligible and it fits their healthcare situation. Some should build a taxable brokerage account for flexibility, but the account choice should follow the goal. Retirement money goes in retirement accounts. Flexible long-term money can go in a brokerage. Medical tax advantage savings may go in an HSA if appropriate. Short-term money stays out of the market. This is where a lot of people overcomplicate investing. They try to find the perfect account before defining the purpose. Purpose first, account second, investment third. The seventh checkpoint is consistency. The U.S. personal saving rate was 3.6% in March 2026, according to Federal Reserve economic data from the St. Louis Fed, which shows how little margin many households are saving relative to disposable income. Again, you do not need to copy a national average, but you should pay attention to your own savings rate. If you save and invest 2% of your income, progress will probably feel slow. If you can build toward 10%, 15%, or eventually 20% or more, the math starts to change. For a young professional, a strong target is often investing somewhere around 15 to 25% of net income once the foundation is stable. That does not mean everyone starts there. If you are at 0, start with 1%, then 3, then 5, then 10. The exact number matters less than the direction at first, but over time, the percentage matters a lot. Because wealth is not built only by picking good investments. It is built by consistently moving income into assets. So how do you know if you are actually ready to invest? You are ready when investing does not put your basic financial life at risk. You have at least a starter emergency fund. You are not being crushed by high-interest debt. You understand your monthly cash flow. You know the time horizon for the money. You can handle some volatility without panic selling. You understand the account and investment well enough to explain why you chose it. And you can invest consistently without needing that money back immediately. That is readiness, not perfection, readiness. And here is the good news. You do not need to wait years to start. You can build readiness in layers. Start with a small emergency fund. Contribute enough to get an employer match if you have one and can afford it. Pay down high-interest debt. Build cash reserves. Automate small investments. Increase contributions when your income grows. Keep short-term money safe. Let long-term money work. That is how investing becomes sustainable. The mistake is thinking investing is only about returns. Returns matter, but behavior matters more than most people want to admit. A decent investment plan you can stick with is usually better than a perfect plan you abandon the first time the market drops. Because the real goal is not to feel like an investor for a few months. The goal is to become someone who turns income into assets for decades. So before you ask, what should I invest in? Ask a better question. Is my financial foundation strong enough to let me stay invested? If the answer is no, that is not failure. That is clarity. Build the foundation. reduce the pressure, create the margin, then invest from a position of strength, because investing should not make your life more fragile. Done right, investing should make your future more flexible. And that is the point. Not chasing hype, not trying to look smart, not betting money you cannot afford to lose, but building a system where your money has room to grow, your emergencies do not destroy your plan, and your future self actually benefits from the income you are earning today. Like and subscribe.